The March 23rd movement, commonly known as M23, is a rebel military group that operates in the eastern regions of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, DRC. Its formation and activities are deeply rooted in the complex and turbulent history of the region, involving local ethnic tensions, regional political dynamics, and international interests. M23 was formed in early 2012 by former members of the National Congress for the Defense of the People, CNDP, a Tutsi-led rebel group that had been integrated into the Congolese Army, FARDC, following a peace agreement in 2009. The name M23 references March 23, 2009, the date of this peace agreement, which the rebels claim the Congolese government failed to honor. To understand M23, it is essential to first understand its predecessor, the CNDP, and its leader Laurent Nkunda. The CNDP emerged in the mid-2000s in response to perceived threats to the Tutsi community in eastern DRC from Hutu militias, particularly the Democratic Forces for the Liberation of Rwanda, FDLR. These militias included remnants of the Interahamwe, responsible for the 1994 Rwandan genocide. Laurent Nkunda, a charismatic and controversial figure, led the CNDP. Nkunda was a former officer in the Rwandan Patriotic Front, RPF, the rebel group that ended the Rwandan genocide and subsequently became the ruling party in Rwanda. Nkunda's leadership of the CNDP was marked by a mixture of military successes and severe allegations of human rights abuses. In 2009, under significant international pressure, the CNDP and the Congolese government reached a peace agreement. The accord stipulated that CNDP fighters would be integrated into the FARDC, and the group would transform into a political party. While many CNDP members, including top commanders, were incorporated into the FARDC, dissatisfaction simmered beneath the surface due to perceived failures to fully implement the agreement. In April 2012, a group of former CNDP soldiers led by Bosco Ntaganda, a key figure in the CNDP and now a general in the FARDC, defected and formed M23. They accused the Congolese government of failing to honor the March 23, 2009 agreement, particularly in terms of integrating CNDP fighters into the army and addressing security concerns in the Kivu regions. Bosco Ntaganda, like Laurent Nkunda, is a figure surrounded by controversy and allegations of war crimes. Often referred to as the Terminator, Ntaganda was later indicted by the International Criminal Court, ICC, for crimes against humanity and war crimes committed in the Ituri region earlier in the decade. M23's stated objectives revolve around the defense of the Tutsi community in the eastern DRC and the enforcement of the 2009 peace agreement. They claim to fight against government corruption and to protect civilians from attacks by Hutu militias. However, critics argue that their actions are often motivated by economic interests, particularly control over the region's rich mineral resources. From its inception in April 2012, M23 quickly became a formidable force in the eastern DRC. They launched a series of military offensives against the FARDC, capturing key towns and territories in North Kivu province. The most significant military achievement of M23 came in November 2012, when they captured Goma, the provincial capital of North Kivu. The fall of Goma, a city of over 1 million people, was a major embarrassment for the Congolese government and a testament to the strength and organization of M23. The capture of Goma also highlighted the complex international dimensions of the conflict. There were widespread accusations that Rwanda, and to a lesser extent Uganda, provided support to M23. Both countries have historical and ethnic ties to the Tutsi community in eastern DRC and were accused of backing M23 to advance their strategic and economic interests. The capture of Goma prompted a significant international response. The United Nations, UN, and African Union, AU, called for a ceasefire and negotiations. The UN peacekeeping mission in the DRC, MONUSCO, was also heavily criticized for its inability to prevent the fall of Goma. In December 2012, under international pressure, M23 agreed to withdraw from Goma. Subsequent peace talks were held in Kampala, Uganda, mediated by the International Conference on the Great Lakes Region, ICGLR. These talks aim to address the grievances of M23 and find a sustainable solution to the conflict. M23's cohesion began to unravel in early 2013 due to internal divisions. A significant split occurred between factions loyal to Bosco and Ntaganda and those supporting Sultani Makenga, another senior commander. This division weakened the group and undermined their military effectiveness. In March 2013, Ntaganda surrendered to the U.S. Embassy in Kigali, Rwanda, and was subsequently transferred to the ICC. This was a significant blow to M23. By late 2013, following a series of defeats by the FARDC and MONUSCO's Intervention Brigade, M23 declared an end to its rebellion. Many of its fighters fled to Rwanda and Uganda. Although M23 was largely defeated in 2013, its remnants have continued to pose a threat in the region. Periodic reports have emerged about attempts to regroup and rearm. The group remains a symbol of the ongoing instability in the eastern DRC, a region plagued by numerous armed groups, ethnic tensions, and competition over natural resources. Understanding M23 requires a broader examination of the socio-political and economic context of the eastern DRC. Several factors contributed to the formation and activities of M23. The eastern DRC is a mosaic of ethnic groups, and tensions between these groups have been a significant driver of conflict. The presence of Hutu militias, some of whom participated in the Rwandan genocide, has been a particular source of fear for the Tutsi community. M23 framed itself as a defender of the Tutsi against these threats. The Congolese government's weakness and corruption have contributed to the rise of armed groups like M23. The government's inability to provide security and basic services in the eastern regions has created a vacuum that rebel groups have exploited. The DRC is rich in minerals, particularly in the eastern regions. Control over these resources has been a major driver of conflict. Armed groups, including M23, have financed their activities through the illegal exploitation and trade of minerals. The activities of M23, like those of other armed groups in the DRC, have had severe humanitarian consequences. The fighting has displaced hundreds of thousands of people, creating a dire humanitarian crisis. Reports of human rights abuses, including killings, rapes, and the use of child soldiers, have been widespread. The international community has made various efforts to address the conflict involving M23. The UN peacekeeping mission, MONUSCO, has played a significant role in protecting civilians and supporting the Congolese army. The deployment of an intervention brigade with a robust mandate to neutralize armed groups was a notable development. Regional organizations, such as the African Union and the International Conference on the Great Lakes Region, have also been involved in mediation efforts. However, achieving lasting peace has been challenging due to the deep-rooted and multifaceted nature of the conflict. The formation and activities of M23 are a reflection of the broader issues plaguing the eastern DRC: ethnic tensions, weak governance, competition over resources, and regional interference. While M23 as a unified fighting force was largely defeated by 2013, the conditions that led to its emergence remain. The region continues to be a tinderbox, with numerous armed groups vying for power and resources, and a population that suffers immensely as a result. Lasting peace in the eastern DRC will require addressing these underlying issues and ensuring that agreements are fully implemented, providing security and development for all communities in the region. Despite their declared defeat in late 2013, M23 has continued to pose a threat to the stability of the eastern DRC. Reports of regrouping, rearmament, and sporadic clashes have emerged, indicating that the underlying issues that led to the formation of M23 remain unresolved. In 2017, reports surfaced that M23 fighters who had fled to Rwanda and Uganda were attempting to regroup and resume activities in the DRC. The Congolese government accused these neighboring countries of harboring and facilitating the rebels, although both Rwanda and Uganda denied these allegations. The persistent rumors of M23's reorganization underscore the fragility of the peace achieved in 2013. Periodic clashes between remnants of M23 and the Congolese army have been reported, These skirmishes often occur in remote areas of North Kivu and are typically over control of strategic locations or resources. Although not as widespread or coordinated as during their peak, these clashes disrupt local communities and contribute to ongoing insecurity. The involvement of Rwanda and Uganda has been a contentious issue throughout the history of M23. Both countries have been accused of providing logistical support, training, and even direct military assistance to M23, allegations that they have consistently denied. The historical ties between these countries and the Tutsi community in eastern DRC are well documented, adding layers of complexity to the conflict. Rwanda, in particular, has strategic interests in the region, given its security concerns about Hutu militias operating in the DRC. These militias, which include elements of the FDLR, pose a potential threat to Rwanda's stability, and Kigali's support for Tutsi-led groups like M23 can be seen as a measure to counterbalance this threat. The international community, particularly through the United Nations, has played a significant role in addressing the M23 threat. MONUSCO, the UN peacekeeping mission in the DRC, has been instrumental in stabilizing the region, though its effectiveness has often been questioned. The deployment of the Force Intervention Brigade, FIB, under MONUSCO's mandate in 2013 marked a shift in the UN's approach. This brigade, composed of troops from South Africa, Tanzania, and Malawi, was given a robust mandate to conduct offensive operations against M23 and other armed groups. The FIB's operations were crucial in dismantling M23's strongholds and forcing their retreat. The resurgence and activities of M23 continue to have devastating humanitarian consequences. The conflict has led to large-scale displacement, with thousands of people forced to flee their homes. Control over mineral-rich areas has been a significant driver of M23's activities. Eastern DRC is endowed with valuable minerals such as coltan, gold, and tin, which are critical for global supply chains, particularly in the electronics industry. The illegal mining and trade of these resources have financed M23 and other armed groups, perpetuating the cycle of violence. International initiatives, such as the Dodd-Frank Act in the United States, have aimed to reduce the trade in conflict minerals by requiring companies to disclose the sources of their minerals. While these measures have had some impact, the implementation has been challenging, and the illegal trade continues to thrive. The broader socio-political environment in the DRC significantly impacts the activities and existence of groups like M23. Issues such as weak state institutions, corruption, lack of infrastructure, and poor governance create an environment where armed groups can thrive. The Congolese government's response to M23 and other armed groups has been criticized for being inconsistent and often ineffective. The FARDC, plagued by issues such as corruption, lack of training, and inadequate resources, has struggled to maintain control over the eastern regions. Efforts to reform and strengthen the military have been ongoing but face significant challenges. Achieving lasting peace in the eastern DRC requires comprehensive peace-building and reconciliation efforts. Addressing the root causes of the conflict, including ethnic tensions, governance issues, and economic disparities, is essential. Grassroots peace initiatives involving local communities and civil society organizations are crucial in fostering dialogue and reconciliation. These initiatives focus on building trust between different ethnic groups, promoting coexistence, and addressing local grievances. The international community plays a vital role in supporting peace-building efforts. This includes providing humanitarian aid, supporting governance reforms, and facilitating dialogue between conflicting parties. The role of international organizations, such as the UN, African Union, and regional bodies, is critical in maintaining pressure on stakeholders to commit to peace processes. The future of M23 and the broader conflict in the eastern DRC remains uncertain. While significant progress has been made in weakening M23, the conditions that led to its formation persist. Addressing these conditions requires sustained and coordinated efforts from the Congolese government, regional actors, and the international community.